see, we gotta have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we got a quorum, haven't we?
Yes, we do.
Are we ready on the record? Okay. Okay, we'll let the record show that it is 3:05. And I'll call to order the quarterly meeting of the Durant Community Facilities Authority of March 2nd, 2021. And ask the secretary to call the roll, please.
Trustee Baxter is absent. Trustee Dillard,
Here.
Trustee Gosnell,
Here.
Trustee Grover,
Here.
Trustee Morris,
Here.
Trustee Pierce is absent. Trustee Tuttle,
Here.
Vice Chairman Webb, absent. Chairman Tomlinson,
Here. Thank everyone for being here in attendance, and we do have a quorum. Our first order of business today is, and we welcome those in the audience too. First order of business is item number 1 under consent items, and we have item A, and that's to consider approval of the regular meetings of December 1, 2020. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions? If there are none, entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I make a motion that we approve.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Secretary, record the vote, please.
Trustee Dillard,
Aye.
Trustee Gosnell,
Aye.
Trustee Grover,
Abstain.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Trustee Tuttle,
Abstain.
and Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye. Item 2 will require no action. Under information items, item number 3. First, we have the financial report from Ms. Ann Chen Lai. Ann Chen?
Okay, in your package, you have the January financial statement and report. And the first page is the revenue and expense summary. So we got the total tax and interest revenue is $175,038.62. And the debt service is the monthly payment that we have $9,089.89. Okay. $9,098.89. Plus the we have the monthly kind of like debt service fee, $166.67 that is recorded in here. And the miscellaneous expense is the one that Dcfa's expense that we transfer. Sometimes we transfer to the Dcfa have the checking account. So it also has the claim on pool cash. So this, when there's an expense occurred, that I will transfer the money to the claim on pool cash to pay it out. Do you have any question about this revenue and expense account? All this expense is really regularly charged by month.
Is our sales tax staying?
The sales tax, yes, that is including in the first row that $175.38. The second page, you will see the second page, that is your Dcfa checking account. And we deposited the sales tax, $174,484.46. that is a 2/4 cent of the sales tax. And the second line item is a debt service. That is a monthly, the bank first will take out automatically transfer money to their trust account, and then every 6 months, they will pay it out our debt service. And the third one is the small loan from the First United, and every month, they will take out the $9,098.89 for the loan payment. And then the fourth line is reimbursement. That is the one that when we have the expense occur, and I will transfer money from checking account to the pool cash for the payment. And the last one is interest earned. And you can see the balance for this checking account right now is $2,565,955.40. Any question about this?
What's our final year of debt service, 2024?
And the following pages are all the backup document that how I generate this summary report. You will see I attached the First United, Dcfa gross revenue checking account. And then is our sales tax, quarter-cent sales tax report.
I'll tell you, we've got to be thankful that our sales tax has continued to be in a positive way. Any questions or discussions for Ms. Han-Chen? Okay, requires no action, so thank you, Ms. Han-Chen. Good report. Item 3B under information items is the Ron Cross Senior Activity Center renovation project date. And we have, help me out again,
Mike Davis.
Mike. We met, I think, last time.
Yes, sir.
First time.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So making some really cool progress. I have a few pictures thrown together of how everything's coming along. So we'll go ahead and take a look at those. Oh, that's not the right button. All right. So, of course, you're familiar with the outdoor space right here. Oh, not that. This one's a little bit of a before and after. You see on the left, that's the dining hall space where we had lots of older furniture and a very low ceiling that was put in there before. And on the right, you can see this beautiful vaulted ceiling that has been opened up. And you have to go see the space. It's incredible how much of a space that's opened up. And that's where we're initially going to start our congregate meals once we're at full service in person. Looks a little messy right now because, it's construction and we've cut in for sewage lines. But on the left here, you see where we've built in. We're going to have an indoor pantry. And on the left side, you see where we're going to have an external door. We're going to have our external freezer and cooler. So we're going to have direct access to that. And it's one of the reasons it's constructed this way is it's going to be within compliance.
That's on the west side, isn't it, Mike? On the
West side.
On the west side?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So yes, so that'll be in compliance with our Title III funding for where those meals are coming from and how we're helping them out for Meals on Wheels and the congregate meal. And then on the right side, you can see where that door connects them. That's going to be the new commercial kitchen. One of the key items you can see there is our Blackburn Plumbing. They have dug in the new sewage lines so that we're in compliance with our new kitchen. One of our arts and crafts rooms. So this is one that we're able to salvage where most of the things already are with just some updates to the finishes, but we're going to have a great space for that program as well. And that's the main thing right there. General notes is that most of the general demolition has been complete through cave-ins, with the exception of a couple change orders that we've requested now and have been approved so that we can open up a little bit more space for storage for tables and chairs back in the sanctuary space. Vaulted ceiling's complete. Most everything is complete with the kitchen and pantry, so we've been set up through the electrician's work so that we're going to be all good to go for the new kitchen equipment that's going to be in the commercial kitchen. They put in a new breaker box and everything, so it's on a separate circuit. Prepped everything as far as where we're at currently. The old bathrooms, everything's been cleared out so that all the new equipment, we will be fully ADA compliant. New kitchen equipment is planned out and will be on the way. Also, I met with Shane Knight, the architect. We have picked our final swatches out for carpets and tiles, so those are en route soon, so that we're going to get the large finishes so that we can take them into the facility now that we've narrowed it down to the last 2 to 3 options. So we're going to see for paint color, tiles, and carpeting. But yeah, it's coming along really well.
Pretty much on schedule, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Mike, what is the current, here,
Oh, thanks. These masks.
what is the current projected date for being open to the public?
Right. So original finish date was April 29th. We did have a little bit, a week off, so we still expect construction to finish in May as we planned. So as long as that stays on track currently, our goal is to open in July.
Be some happy folks when we get there.
Definitely.
Any other questions for Mike? Thank you, Mike. Good report. Great report. Coach, can you speak on the arena convocation?
I can. I'm probably in there more than Keith is, actually. So, you know, obviously with COVID, there's much less activity than what normally would be, limited to basketball practice. And then we were able to have a season starting in January. No, we didn't have any fans for the month of January. And then in February, the conference voted to allow basically every player and coach to get 4 tickets. So it's still been very limited on fans. I do not think that we'll do commencement inside. I think their plan is to do commencement at Paul Aird instead of inside the arena. So I'm not sure when we'll get back to normal operations, but hopefully we're hoping that camps and clinics and that kind of stuff can happen this summer, but who knows? We'll see whenever that comes around.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach. And I think you have a guest. Would you like to introduce your guest, please?
Case, you want to raise your hand?
Sorry, bud. What grade's he in?
He's in Miss Caldwell's class in the 3rd grade.
3rd grade. We're glad to have you, young man. Glad you could come. Take care of Dad. Okay, we'll move to item D, under the multi-sports complex. Anybody? There they are. Okay.
All right, so last time we spoke, we had just winterized the complex and we were getting ready to shut down for the winter. Kind of the opposite of that now. We're getting ready to open back up this week. Our first games are going to be Thursday, which is going to be the Durant Middle School baseball team. And then this month we have our first tournament, which is going to be March 20th. We've been booking tournaments, and that's kind of been our focus through the winter. So we're booked out now from March 20th through the end of June. And then we've got most of July booked as well. So we're doing pretty well there as long as everything makes. We should have a lot of tournaments. Something we worked on, me and James were working on, was looking at a proposal for the sports lights, the field lights out there. So we had a company come in and look at all the poles, and they flew a drone around, and they did a full assessment of what it would cost to replace all those lights out there with LED lighting. And we got that back, and it ended up being pretty pricey. It was a little over 1.2 million. So yeah, pretty expensive. So the proposal they gave us was for pretty like high school and even some college level of play. So we could bump those down, For example, the football field out there doesn't get a lot of use besides youth leagues, so that proposal could go down some, but we kind of wanted to see what it would be like to get the kind of the top of the line. But that was something we looked at. Some other projects we've been working on. The concessions are going to be up to health code this week. We're putting in the safety windows. They're required because of COVID. Working on playgrounds, so getting those up to speed, just refilling them with mulch, some small projects like that. I did get some estimates on field covers as well. So for shade, the cheapest was around $70,000 to do full shade out there for all the fields, and then a couple other were over $100,000. So it just kind of depends on who you go with. We worked with Colton's field and Colton's Run to get some new benches out there for the football and soccer fields. So there's currently no benches out there to sit on. So we're ordering all new aluminum benches for the kids that play out there, just to make sure that they have somewhere to sit. We worked with, what's his name? Barry Switzer, right? Yeah, we worked with.
Man, wait a minute now.
Yeah.
How can you forget that guy?
I'm from the East Coast. I'm from the East Coast. not a Cowboys fan, all right. But we worked with his company, and this month we're going to be putting in 4 new scoreboards and video boards on some of those fields out there. As long as everything goes to plan, they're going to be coming out in March. I mentioned last time we're working on hiring some new workers. We had a couple leave, but we've also been able to hire a couple, and this month we hired a new maintenance worker. And then me and Carissa have been working on a marketing plan, and we've kind of been following that plan, and Carissa has created our first event for our parks department, and she's going to explain that here in a little bit. Jumping to Carl Albert and Dixon Durant, James is going to cover those. So that's about it for the sports complex. Do you have any questions?
Couple questions maybe. And I think I heard you mention the concession.
Yeah.
We're bringing that up to, so the health department will approve?
Yes.
What about air and heat and
Yep.
some other things?
We installed the AC and heat back a couple months ago, and then since we just weren't doing anything, we've been working on the Carl Albert project. But as I said, those windows are going to be going in as soon as this week.
Good. On the lights, did that include adding any, or was that just?
Yes, sir, it did. Like Caleb was saying, actually, when they went through the report with us, it brought all the fields to college level. The only college level participation that we've had there has been a softball tournament with the university. Like Caleb did mention, the football field is never used at that level. Neither are those baseball fields. Have they ever been used at that?
Any of the soccer fields?
The soccer fields were not included in it. What we included in this was just replacing what was there and upgrading it. The other good part about that's a lot of money. We wanted to see what our top end cost would be, and then we can work backwards off of that. The thing about that is those lights, those LED lights that would go up are guaranteed for 25 years. That's an issue we have right now. We have 270 approximate bulbs, 1,500 watt metal halide bulbs that are out there right now with an average life of probably about 500 hours apiece, somewhere in that range. The problem we run into a lot of times is because of the height of those poles, we don't have equipment to safely go up there and change those out. It takes, most of those poles are 50 foot or a little better. The largest bucket truck we have is 50 foot. Time you do the offset to make your arm articulate and make it safe, we're not getting to where we need to be. The only city-owned truck we have is a ladder truck, fire ladder truck, and that's not a good use for that because it's so heavy. It crushes pipes, and it's just not a good plan. So
So is that how you've been replacing the bulbs?
That's how we've been replacing the bulbs.
How much are those halights, if a bulb, which each one of those costs?
I don't have that. I wish I did, but I don't have that information. They had some that they'd bought and had in stock and they'd just use them, but there are some of those fields that we've looked at out there and we've gotten complaints about that have multiple lights out on those fields. That did not include the rebates. That did not, right.
To-
That is just the raw cost, yeah.
Well,
James,
and
I've got a-
go ahead, Coach. You have
I've got
something
a
else?
question and a comment. Is this money, like the 1.2 million, is that in this year's budget, or we gotta look for money for next year?
It is not in the budget, no, sir. And where I got information on this company is Kate McDonald, who is the superintendent at Silo. Just recently, this company that we had to look at it, Qualight, is a sister firm or partner firm with Oklahoma LED that we did these replacements on all of our city facilities. Plus, Kate McDonald, who's the superintendent at Silo, just did her softball field. They have a softball field and a baseball field that they did. They bought the metal poles and the lighting, had it engineered, and hers was around $265,000. I wanted us to see, we have a total of 9 fields out there, so I knew it was gonna be pretty significant. I was hoping it was gonna be dramatically less than what it was, but I wanted a starting point. We needed to see, if we're gonna do it, what it's gonna cost, you know, to kind of look at it. And since we have played college tournaments there on the softball side, I thought, well, let's start there. And then we'll pare it back to kind of see where we're gonna be.
And let me
I've got
follow
an
up on
I've got
Mike's
an
question a little bit.
An LED comment too. If you look around at our traffic lights, a lot of them have stripes out and pieces out. It's true, the LEDs basically last forever, but the boards are mounted to it, and the sockets are what give out
Right.
regularly, especially in the weather, so you just kind of need to be wary of that. Not think they're gonna last 25 years.
They're guaranteeing,
The LEDs will be there, but
Yeah.
the boards might, the sockets they're in might not be.
I think, Mike, I'll double check to make sure before I come back to you, but I think they're guaranteeing the entire system for 25 years. The other thing that is advantageous about that system that we found is the fact that it has a smart controller with it that allows us to turn the lights on and off remotely. You can actually even dim the lights or brighten them, whichever the case may be. So there's some pluses to it, but not a 1.2 million worth of pluses, so.
Well, and you guys mentioned the budget, and I would just maybe food for thought that as we just talked a little bit a while ago on the financial report, the numbers continue to be good there, and some dollars are maybe potentially available there to look at doing some of these things, and we're working on budgets right now, I guess, are about to really kick it
getting
off.
ready
So.
to get into it, yeah. And another thing, Robert, with OG&E's here with us, we have looked at, we can replace a 1,500 watt metal halide bulb with a 350 watt LED bulb and get better light than what we had at the 1,500 watt metal halide, which is crazy to think about
Yeah.
that, but it'd be a dramatic reduction in the utility bill on those.
I would just add one other thing too, is either to look at least that Colton field, soccer field, or some of the soccer fields for some lighting there too.
We had kind of kicked around maybe doing 3, but again, knowing what Silo paid for 2.
Yeah.
Silo paid $265 for 2 fields, that's poles and lights and controllers. So that would kind of give us some idea what we'd be looking at. You'd be looking at 130, 140,000 a field for that. A lot of money.
Okay, any other questions or comments, discussion on the multi-sports update?
I was just gonna add a comment to a question he mentioned. He asked if we're currently going up. So I've actually been reaching out to local companies to see if they want to fix those lights, and they're kind of hesitant as well. We might actually have to go up to a much larger company that will send people out to fix those lights.
OD&E's right here.
Well, maybe.
Come on, come on, Robert.
But what? Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Caleb. Okay, it takes us to item E, under the Carl Albert Park and Dixon Durant Park.
Real quick, if you've been out the parking lot on the west side of the multi-court area, has been paved and striped and lighted. You can go out there and it really looks nice. It is ADA compliant to get to the walking track and the other areas there. So we're pretty excited about having that done. We have put other lights in the park. Some of them in the middle of the park are on a photo cell. They stay on all night long, so that gives some illumination there. The lights that are right now over the playground area that we're doing, where the dream court, the multipurpose court, and the two little playground areas are, they're on a timer right now from about 5 in the evening till roughly 10 at night. And I'm gonna have to go check those to make sure that they're still holding true to that. Our goal on that is that we're gonna separate some of those lights. I'm waiting on Ferris Electric, who's been doing electric work for us out there. What we're gonna do is we're going to refocus a few of those lights more on the parking lot area, just to make it even a little more bright. And those will all be on a photo cell, so they'll stay from daylight, or from dark till daylight. And then again, the rest of them that's over the playground area, they'll go out at 10 o'clock, since that's residential out in that area. But it's looking good. Playgrounds have, they have been covered, and I'm doing show and tell. What we did is, this is recycled car seats and car dashes and stuff that adds a foam fall protection underneath the playground equipment. The next layer that we went with, this is to allow the astroturf, or the turf, to drain, okay? And then this is the level of turf that we put on, and then that has a silica sand infill in it, as opposed to the little black rubber beads you see sometimes. We went with the silica sand. We have ready access to that, so you have to do that ever so often. You have to go add back. So we thought that'd be better for us as opposed to doing the rubber balls. Plus, it doesn't stop up sinks and stuff when kids get it, and those little beads will stay on you where the sand will kind of come off a little better. But I just wanted y'all to kind of see what went on out there in that fall protection area, and we measured the height from the top of the equipment to the turf, so we know we had the right fall protection in there. We also have those two playgrounds finished. What we figured out is, once we got the playgrounds up and we got the canopies up, is we also can probably add some other pieces to those areas. And to kind of help with moms taking their kids, or parents taking kids out there, we put a vinyl coated chain link fence around those individual playground areas. So it's a little easier to kind of put them in there, and there's just one way in and out. You kind of got a squeeze gate for people who run cattle, you know, they know how that works. That way they can keep better track of their kids and not let them get out. And then on the multi-sports court, that's the middle between the playground, they're on the east end. Dream court's on the west end, the multi-court purpose in the middle. We have put the tiles down there, just like is on the multi-court, or the dream court, except we use the green instead of the blue that they use. We have ordered 4 basketball goals, 2 soccer goals, poles and netting. We're going to completely enclose that. And we're gonna make those goals 8 foot for little kids. And they'll run across, so there'll be 4 8-foot goals in there, and then there'll be soccer on either end. There'll be 2 goals, one on either end there, so it can be used for multi-purpose. We have enough chain link fence left over. We're also going to separate the area where the dream court is, so that that area is for little kids. We don't want college kids, high school kids in there dunking on 8-foot goals. I know the temptation is there, but we want to make that and do some signage to say, hey, this is your side, leave the little kids over here. You know, so that's our plan with that. The weather has slowed us down somewhat, as you can imagine. So we're hoping to get back in there and get that punched out fairly quick. While it was cold, while we were waiting on some product to come in, we also took down some diseased trees out there, some dead trees, and took those down. We have probably another 10 to come down out there in the park, but we've had to pull people off to water breaks and other things that were more emergent than getting that park finished. So that doesn't mean we don't want to get back to it, but we just have to do what we can do with the personnel we have. To switch gears a little bit and go down to Dixon Durant, again, we're working on a master plan on all the parks with staff. One thing we want to do is replace that concrete under the pavilion down on the south end. It does not appear that it was poured with any steel in it. And it has, with tree roots and things like that, it has about a 3-4 inch break all in there, and that's unlevel and really not usable, not ADA compliant. So we want to replace that and make that where it's much more friendly, much more usable. Also met with Robert and Derek from OG&E, and we looked and identified the source where the lighting and the electric came into that park, so that we can hopefully go in there and add more lighting in that park to kind of illuminate that. We're working on redoing those tennis courts. As a matter of fact, if you go out there, the LED lights are on the poles at the tennis court. About 50-60% of them are actually functioning. It's not the light, it is some of the wiring in the poles that we're going to have redo. And I've already had Ferris out there to look at that. And again, we're going to pull some new wire up in those poles and get those to where they're all working. Those currently are on a timer as well. And again, they come on about 5 and stay illuminated until about 10. So.
All right, any questions for James? Good report, sir.
We're trying.
Yeah, very good.
We're trying.
Good things going on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that takes us to item number 4. Whoops, I'm sorry.
I mean, if you don't want to hear about my event, that's okay.
Carissa, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm super excited. We're hosting our first community event coming up. I don't know if any of you have seen our announcement. I announced it last Tuesday. I brought a flyer. I don't know if you guys want to pass it around, just kind of look at it. It's going to be held March 20th at Carl Albert from 11 to 2. It's Durant Dog Day and Easter Egg Hunt. So I figured, since we're still kind of in COVID, getting outside, having an event outside, more kind of focused on our pets and getting them out so it's not just a bunch of kids running around. We'll have an Easter egg hunt for pets. So it's going to be just a big egg hunt, plastic eggs filled with dog treats. Vendors, I'm trying to find right now just a bunch of local vendors that want to be involved. I already have gotten a few donations. Montgomery Restaurant Group is donating our Easter eggs. They said 600, so if you have dogs, please bring them because we're going to have a lot. They're also helping with our signage. First United has said that they were going to grill some hot dogs and maybe kind of do like a meal deal for a $5 donation and then donate all those funds to one of our local animal shelters. PetSense said they would donate all the treats. Blue Zones said that they would help sponsor and donate our doggy bags since we do know there's not any doggy waste facilities at the park at this time. We'll just bring in more trash bins and then have those doggy bags to kind of promote picking up after your dog. We're also obviously going to have our leash laws in place and encourage picking up after pets. 49th Street is going to be donating prize baskets. We're going to have some competitions, costume contest, best tricks, and then just we're going to do a social media best photo contest that will be announced that day too. So it's going to be exciting. I'm super excited. I posted on our social medias and it has gotten a lot of shares and likes and views. So I think it's going to be pretty popular. I've heard a lot of good feedback so far. So hopefully it's going to go well. I am super excited. So hopefully we can see some of you there too. Do you guys have any questions?
I would urge you to make sure the TV stations are aware of that on the date because they'll probably send a crew out to cover it if you do.
Okay, that's a great idea. I can do that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate what you guys are doing. Okay, takes us to administration items. Item number 4. A, and number 1 is consider approval of a temporary ground lease with OG&E, Oklahoma Gas and Electric, and Mr. Marty Cook.
Yes, sir, and I have Mr. Holliday here with me if we need any clarification on anything. I know it's three action items, but I'm going to speak about it all at one time because it's all kind of one project. OG&E, if you look at this page, I kind of drew a map. And I want you to know this is not to scale necessarily or anything fancy, but it gives you an idea of what we're looking at.
Which ends north on that map, Marty?
North, well, my writing on the bottom would be on the south side, okay? So you can see the multi-sports complex down there. You can see a little bit of the football field and one of the softball field. It gives you some perspective. The blue square is some land that OG&E has acquired. It's not from us, it's from the neighbor there. It's adjacent to our property. The green dotted line is an existing OG&E easement for their transmission lines that go, again, adjacent to that property they purchased. The red outline that looks like the state of Oklahoma sideways is actually going to be a proposed laydown yard that they want to lease from DMSC for the next year. Until they get their substation built, then they would pull off of that. Now, the small black line I've got drawn in is their proposed entry exit to that facility. We've talked to them about and they've got permission as well from ODOT because that's an ODOT roadway to put that driveway in. The driveway will be a concrete surface over a culvert, so it will be a finished surface, so it won't affect drainage ever again. It should be able to handle what we need. The road will just be gravel, and it will be kind of a temporary work surface while they're coming in and out. The road will remain. The laydown yard, they've actually told us we have a couple options. We can keep it as they develop it and rent it out to other entities as a laydown yard until someday we want to build a soccer field over there. Or we can have it go back to natural vegetative state. We can do it either way, and they'll work with us on that. So what they're asking for is basically this easement of the roadway, which is already inside their easement already, but they're going to put a more permanent surface there, so they got to get permission. And then the lease on this outlined red area for a year, and I believe it was for $18,000 for the year. They have some fancy math. This stuff's pretty much boilerplate with them. I did have Tom Markham look over all these documents. He said they're all where they need to be. And we're just seeking you guys for a signature, I suppose. Because it is DCFA property. It is not City of Durant property. So that needs to be clear.
I've kind of got a question for Robert. Is that substation to specifically serve CMC and those guys, or does it go into the local grid in general?
A good question. What we was needing, it was a substation to help us balance our load because, you know, it's getting heavy that direction. So what this will do, it kind of balance within the city. Then we're also able to, when we have outages, then we'll be able to pick up load and take load off at different locations easier, faster, and get people back up when we need to quicker. So that gives us that ability to where that's a little more difficult right now because we'll put circuits on that to be able to, if a line fails for some reason, somebody hits a pole, then we can get it from another direction. And that gives us a lot of balance for that area.
Sounds great to me.
Yes, a lot of redundancy.
Good.
Will that
Thanks.
have the appearance of the substations we're familiar with? A couple here in town, one
Yeah, I mean,
downtown. Will
it's
that-
going to look just like a substation. The good news is from the ball field side, it's really invisible because there's trees between it and the ball fields. Now, someday, if we develop the other side of the hill, obviously there'll be some visibility there.
Yeah.
They can do, and I don't know if that's the plan, is a fence, right?
Yeah, we can do that.
They can do a fence with an opaque lining in it so you actually can't see the equipment. They don't always do that out in the pasture until it gets time to need it, right? Because if nobody can see it, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
You're actually better with it visible if nobody's right directly around it, because then you can see if somebody is in there, you know something's going on from the highway. But once we have traffic around it in the future, we can get an opaque fence on it.
I think you mentioned it, but your green dotted line is
That's the transmission line.
the twin poles we see, or
Mhm.
the big poles we see going.
Yeah.
I believe that's a 70-foot
Yes.
easement. That's the twin poles, yes.
There, is it possible for that drive? You mentioned it would be concrete off of the highway.
So with the mouth of it just coming across that drainage ditch,
Yeah.
but once it gets out of the right of way, it's gonna go to gravel. And I have discussed with, Mr. Ford, I don't remember his first name, he's the one kind of been working. Is that his first name?
Ford printers.
Oh, I was calling him his first name, his last name. I discussed with him the option of making this a more permanent surface. It's costly, obviously, that's a big part of it. But the other fact is, we probably would never want to use this for a primary entrance for ourselves either, because it comes out right on that corner in a dangerous location. Our primary, secondary entrance would be about 500 or 600 feet north of there, where the road flattens out again, so we have safety and we can bring 2 lanes of traffic. Now, we could utilize this as a secondary source for maintenance, and they would be willing to share the lock on the gate with us, and we could do that already. But again, you don't really need a sealed surface for that.
Well, and I would, just the thought occurred that if they put in that kind of paved street or road, like we do with other developers in town, they could, deed it or not, convey it to the city, and we'd have the maintenance and keep it up.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying.
And that could be, like you just said, a maintenance entrance road or an emergency entrance exit kind of thing. Just a thought.
Yeah, and we've explored that a little bit. It's just, it brings the cost up quite a bit. I even, I talked to him about maybe relieving some of that $18,000 lease in order to help pay for that roadway, and the numbers still came out upside down on them. It's in agricultural land right now.
Doesn't hurt to ask again.
Yeah, no, here's your guy. It's in agricultural land right now. It is an industrial use, so it's not residential, it's not commercial, and likely never will be either of those things because it's a sports complex and a private property. So really by code, it's not as stringent as the commercial residential stuff is.
Now, was this here, or is the laydown yard right here?
No, the red one is. The blue one's the property you own for the substation.
Oh,
Okay, this item A1 is the temporary, the red-shaped consideration, right? Temporary ground lease.
Let me read it and double check.
While he's checking over that, I was just gonna mention to you, if you were able to take advantage of the laydown yard, you know, like the one we have at the glass plant that we had there, that's, if you already got it, everything there for a laydown yard, then everything from that point on until you wanna make a change is pretty good money for people that comes in and wants to have a
Cardinal
place
makes,
to do something like that. You remember that?
Cardinal makes great use of that today, actually,
Yeah.
with that.
So I would just suggest
Yeah.
that would be an option. It all depends on what you're wanting though.
So
So,
item
yes.
A is that,
A1 is the red lease,
The
ground
yard.
lease for 18,000 for the laydown yard.
okay, any questions on that? Are we ready for a motion? Any questions? If not, I'd consider a motion.
I move we approve administration item 4A1, the approval of temporary ground lease with OG&E.
We have a motion,
I'll second it.
and we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Dillard,
Aye.
Trustee Gosnell,
Aye.
Trustee Grover,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Trustee Tuttle,
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye. Motion carries. And that takes us to item 2, which is to consider 4A2, to consider the approval of the easement to the OG&E company, and that would be the Black Line easement road. Is that correct?
Yeah, so actually, 3 is the access road easement, how's that read?
Okay, sorry.
And 2 is actually an easement, so between that transmission line and the actual blue square, there's a couple feet of property that they just got to get across as a part of their roadway. So as you're going in right there, you can see how the green line is just a couple feet north
I
of the
see.
blue line.
So
this
is that,
easement is for
is that the whole distance, or just there at the,
No, just here at this location.
It's
okay?
a little slither.
Yeah, it's a
And
little sliver,
The legal will
Just-
represent that, the legal.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any questions, further questions? If not, consider a motion.
I'll motion to A2.
We have a motion for 4A2. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, Secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Dillard,
Aye.
Trustee Gosnell,
Aye.
Trustee Grover,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Trustee Tuttle,
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Now, item 4A3 is to consider the approval of the access road easement
And I believe
for
that's,
OG&E, I'm sorry.
I believe that's listed as a permanent access road easement.
Yeah. So that, would that,
Oh, no, it doesn't say permanent, sorry, my bad. It just says access road easement.
does the paperwork say permanent, or?
No, it does not say permanent. However, they already have an easement through there, so they're gonna have permanent access to that roadway anyway.
Okay.
So,
Okay, one question or discussion I would have on that is, maybe to suggest again that we consider a permanent type paved kind of road that the city could maintain as far as a partnership or whatever.
One thing that we were concerned about was it might bring people that want to be on that more often to do that. And so, we talked about a lot of different
I
things
mean,
on
although we're gonna have a gate
there
as well,
to be able to go, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's definitely a discussion that I'll.
Yeah, it is.
It'll have controlled access and
And if they
egress, I guess.
dedicate it to the city and we have permanent maintenance, that might ease their mind on some of that. but
Yeah.
We'll have that
Yeah.
discussion.
Anyway, any other questions or discussion regarding the access road easement? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve 4A3, approval access road easement.
We have a motion for 4A3.
I'll second it.
And we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the secretary records a vote, please.
Trustee Dillard,
Aye.
Trustee Gosnell,
Aye.
Trustee Grover,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Trustee Tuttle,
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries, and as
was gonna
always, Mr. Holliday, we appreciate the partnership. with
And thank you guys
Oh,
for
Danny.
everything. I wasn't gonna make a quick comment. I talked about, our southern supervisor that handles all the guys in the southern part of Oklahoma for OG&E. He said Durant is the only one that's got subdivisions going.
Got what?
Got subdivisions being built. The rest of them has pretty well slowed down to none, but Durant has numerous.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what's happening here. So,
Yep.
so kudos to Durant.
OG&E's been a part of it, too.
Yeah, exactly. Kudos to Durant.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you very much. And thank the authority members. Under 5, I don't have a list for citizen comments. We'll go to item 6, any new business? Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn. Come on now, let's go home.
I move we adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn,
I'll second it.
and we have a second. And I don't think there'll be any discussion, so the secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Dillard,
Aye.
Trustee Gosnell,
Aye.
Trustee Grover,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Trustee Tuttle,
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. We're adjourned. Hey, thank you,